Hello, welcome to the Heart's Frontier. I'm Kate Graham, and if this is the first time that you're joining us, then hello and welcome. And if you like hearing more about highly sensitive people, about empaths, about oracle, intuition, psychic work, kind of any of the things that I talk about on here, then I encourage you to subscribe. I'd love to know if anyone is here live. I'm trying to do more videos live, but I will also do some pre-recorded videos soon. Just because I know people see them differently on their feed. But do let me know if you're here live. If you have any questions for me, any oracle questions, I'm happy to answer them. That's why I jump on live, just so I can kind of share oracle messages if you need as well. But today I thought I would do something a little bit different, which is to talk about traits of highly sensitive people and some strategies for success. And so some of what I will be doing is talking about the Empath Energetics program that I developed. So it's a 4-month program. We're due to start at the end of April, sometime late April. I kind of am leaving it just open, actually. This is a first time that I'm doing it this way because in all of the recent and previous Empath Energetics rounds that I've run, we haven't started right on the date that I thought we might, um, which is funny because, I mean, I'm not really big on timing as a psychic. I think that a lot of things can influence timing, and when it has to do with other people and their decisions, a ton of things can influence timing. And so I'll sometimes feel a certain kind of date that, to aim for, or where most people are going to sign up. But then before or after, some people will sign up. Some people maybe take a few days and then go, oh, is there any way I could still join? So just to reduce and remove that kind of pressure, this year I'm just going to go until we have a group formed, and that's when we'll start Empath Energetics. So late April is when I'm feeling for that. So if you are interested in joining the next round, do let me know. I have a feeling that I won't be running another one this year. It's unlikely to me that I'll be running another Empath Energetics this year. I mean, stranger things have happened, and I could definitely be convinced otherwise. I just have a feeling this might be the only one that I run this year. Or if I do another one, it'll be like much later. It would be like way late in the fall, probably. But yeah, I'm not sure. So that being said, I do want to talk a little bit about like who this program is for, which is highly sensitive people. And that's what this video is for. Highly sensitive strategies for success. Highly sensitive people are also, in my opinion, creative, intuitive, and feeling people, empathic people. And so you can interchange these words for the most part. There are differences, obviously, as to what they mean based on context. Highly sensitive people, you might have a lot of people who, self-diagnose themselves as highly sensitive, but don't really feel connected to their empath or intuition or psychic side necessarily. You also might have a lot of intuitives who have never heard the term highly sensitive. And so they're like, well, whatever, I'm psychic. I'm not necessarily sensitive, because they might see sensitivity as just a certain personality trait. So here's my definition, or, what Psychology Today is actually this article that I have here, because I like being able to follow a list. But if you want, you can also see on the Empath Energetics sales page, there is a little quiz. You can't see much of what's in the Empath Energetics program because I do keep it hidden for people who are ready to do the work. But you also can go to this list that I've put in here, which is you're an empath if you experience many of these traits. So let me just read that one, and then I'll talk about some strategies for success, because what I notice is that a lot of people who identify as highly sensitive or as empathic tend to write experiences off, or tend to write themselves off and say, well, I'm just highly sensitive, so, that doesn't work for me. Or I'm an empath, so this always drains me, and that really is totally unnecessary. And it is speaking from a place of victimhood, which is kind of a controversial opinion. If people are still in their sort of victim mindset, sometimes what I say can sound harsh in that way, but here's where it comes from. the more that you allow things to drain your energy, and the more you set a subconscious belief system that says the world is attacking you, or you are too sensitive, or you are unable to handle certain situations, the more your brain will continue to confirm those beliefs. Your subconscious beliefs you may not have addressed yet. And so when I say something like, just because you're highly sensitive doesn't mean other people's energy needs to drain you. Just because you're empathic doesn't mean you're going to feel everything and you have to cry for days and days and days on end, you know? And so because of that, I mean, days and days on end, I don't know anyone who would really say that. But because of these like beliefs that people have, these victim mindsets in their subconscious, they'll tend to look at the world really differently and shape their experiences differently. And to be honest, I notice a lot of highly sensitive people just writing off their skills. And that's what I see these as. So I don't think there's some special power. I don't think that empaths are some magical superhero here to heal the world. I think we are all here to grow and do the best we can with our one lifetime at a time that we remember. But I think we're all here to do the best we can in one lifetime. And over that lifetime, many highly sensitive people are going to recognize their psychic gifts. They're going to develop their intuition. They're going to feel intuitively called towards things. They're going to feel empathically within connections, and it's going to really deepen their ability to sense and experience this world. So those people actually have an advantage. I think highly sensitive people have such an advantage because we have a high sensitivity and a high perception of the world around us. So if you can walk into a room and you can sense subtleties and you can sense emotions and you can pick up on things, that's absolutely a skill. How is that not a skill? The damage comes when you have this victim mindset, or when you have belief systems set in place that say you are going to be thrown around, or you're going to be taken advantage of, or you are going to be constantly overwhelmed. So let's go through, are you an empath? And if you see yourself as an empath and you notice some of these challenges or sensations or symptoms, then you might really want to think about taking empath energetics as a way to deepen your connection to yourself and to grow your skills and actually be able to see the value in them, and then be able to make an impact on the world around you. Because at our hearts, all sensitive people and all empathic people want the world to be a better place. And you certainly can't make the world a better place if you're worried all the time about people draining your energy, about feeling too overwhelmed, or being so sensitive that you can't handle life itself. Okay. So, number one, feeling others' emotions as if they were your own, sometimes staying in an emotional state that mimics those around you. This is like, I had a client recently say they were spending time around friends, and when they returned from their friends, they kept feeling these same emotions that did not feel like theirs. And this says, usually when you separate or tune into your own energy, the burden of these extra emotions is released. But it can be really difficult to tune into your own energy if you're not really familiar with that. So learning a bunch of the techniques that I teach in Empath Energetics and doing a lot of personal study, personal self-healing work on Archetype study allows you to be able to quickly tune into your own energy and then entirely release the extra burden, entirely release these extra emotions that are not yours. So this is a number one complaint that a lot of empaths have. A lot of highly sensitive people feel like when they spend time around other people, suddenly they don't know their own emotions. That is a you thing. That's a your choice. And just because you're sensitive, it does not mean you need to take on other people's emotions as your own. What's cool actually is that, though, it is really, really cool as, as a practitioner or as someone who really cares about people, to be able to feel an emotion as if it were your own and relate to someone is such a special gift. So you can see it as a pro, you can see it as a con. I find it more helpful to see it as a pro and work on utilizing that skill. I think the difference is when you have emotions, not simply reacting to them. So when you have someone else's emotion come in, you're then not scared by this feeling, or you're not reacting to that emotion that is not yours. And of course, like I say, tuning into your own energy as much as possible. So do leave me a comment. Let me know if you're live, just because then I'll know if the comments are working. I'm going to keep going down this list of highly sensitive people and some strategies for success. So overwhelm in public places and overstimulated by picking up on everybody around you. So lights or sounds or overhearing, oh my gosh, overhearing people in conflict or stress. When I used to live in Toronto, a really big city, when I used to live in Toronto, I would hear a couple arguing on the subway. And I promise you, I would still be thinking about it like an hour later when I was at work. I'd still be thinking about it when I took the streetcar home from that full day at work. I would feel, I could see one ticker tape across the news and still be thinking about that story. Oh, I wonder what happened to that missing child, And so that feeling, when you're grocery shopping and the lights are so bright, having overwhelm in public places or being really overstimulated, picking up on everyone around you, this is totally a recipe for exhaustion. Hey, Lacey, thanks for leaving me a comment. Nice to have you here. I'm talking about highly sensitive people and some strategies for success. I don't think I'm going to get through this whole list, but I'll just keep making videos about this in the next few days. And if you're looking for the whole list, it's on my site under Empath Energetics. If you go to the bottom, you'll see all the content that's in Empath Energetics, but you won't be able to see it yourself. What you'll do is you'll just see, are you an empath? And you can click into that. Okay, so part of this overwhelm in public places, this is because we are sensitive and we are perceptive and also receptive. We're receiving all these things that are going on in our environment, which again, you could see that as a pro or a con, right? That's like a super spy skill, to be able to see everything and to be able to perceive and to pick up on so many things. Just as I said that, I saw these two birds and they were flying in a different pattern, the amount of observation that is necessary for that is really, really a beautiful quality. What's challenging is when your brain has a hard time adjusting to all that information, and when it gets confused or when it interprets things as purely overwhelming. When you attach to other people, it also feels like your energy kind of flies out of you, And so when I would think about, oh, this couple, this is years ago when I lived in Toronto, I'd think about, oh, this couple and they were fighting. I wonder if they got through that fight. That was really mean. I wonder if that's their everyday thing. The types of thoughts. If you're a sensitive person, the types of thoughts that you would go through if you see a thing like that. That type of thing used to exhaust me because I'm allowing my thoughts and my emotions and my energy to be somewhere else. And I don't even know where those people are truly. As I developed my psychic awareness, I could have a feeling as to where they might be, but that's not useful. That's not useful for them because it doesn't give them all the energy they need to do what they need to do. It's not helpful for me for sure, because I'm just exhausted, distracted at work. It's really quite inconvenient to have your mind go all these different places, to feel emotionally pulled in all these different ways. But when you shift into an empowered empath mode, again, doing actually work, you have to do things in order to create a positive, I think, nervous system that is prepared for your level of sensitivity. When you do that and you shift into an empowered empath mode, this is simply information. And so now when I go grocery shopping and the lights and the sounds are big, I have the ability to be able to separate myself from the situation in a comfortable way, still feel, still receive. And it's very rare that something would be so overwhelming. I can't think of actually the last time where I would have to remove myself because a situation felt too overwhelming. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean that I'm constantly seeking out crowds and malls and bright lights and things like this, but that's just a personal preference. That's just me caring about myself and, really enjoying smaller shops and really enjoying nature rather than stores. So I don't love hearing, I can't do this because I'm sensitive. I can't do crowds because I'm empathic. That actually is coming from a wounded place and from a place of, self-limitation. And I'm not saying that every empath has to love crowds or every empath needs to get over all of their overwhelm. But if you do want to reduce the amount that you're overstimulated and overwhelmed and, this high level of sensitivity, if it feels like it's getting to you, I highly encourage you to shift into your empowered empath mode, which is about separating your energy, getting to know yourself, learning different techniques for reducing the amount of overwhelm and overstimulation that you experience. Also, learning about energetics. And that is what I teach in month 1 of Empath Energetics. It is intuition development, energy, frequency. It is empath triggers. So we do spend a lot of time on what is triggering you. And I don't just, ignore it. It's okay. Let's talk about what that actually is. What is the fear of being around people, a group of people, let's say. Okay, number 3 is knowing. So this is a trait that you might be highly sensitive, intuitive, or empathic. This is called claircognizance. It's actually my highest skill, like highest strength skill, along with clairsentience. Clairsentience is clear feeling or psychic feeling. And so that is what led me to start working with empaths in the first place. I really felt so many things from other people. And I knew that that feeling of overstimulation was causing a lot of my overwhelm, which, that leads to anxiety. It leads to depression or disconnect. It led to me feeling really, really disconnected and detached a lot because I would have no choice, I thought, because being in your own little world can be so overwhelming. My brain would just exit the building. And claircognizance is clear knowing. So it's just knowing something without really having a logical reason as to how you would know that information. And it used to kind of worry people. And sometimes it really draws people close to me because they'll be like, oh my gosh, it's like you totally know me. And I actually, I'm not really using my brain. I don't feel like I know them. I feel them. I maybe just instinctively know a fact about what they're going through, or about what might happen, or about their life. A funny example of claircognizance that doesn't feel super people based. My best friend once asked me about a certain type of mushroom, and I was like, I don't really know. I don't know that much about mushrooms, but I have a feeling it has to do with the pancreas. And then I went and looked it up, and it absolutely helps people with diabetes, which is related to the pancreas. And so it was very interesting. Sometimes you can just get access to information without really having a clear understanding why you have that knowledge. And so people might doubt you, and also you might doubt yourself. And so I would also say if you're highly sensitive, empathic, or intuitive, it is very likely that you've also had self-doubt in some of your psychic skills. But just knowing things is definitely a quality of an empath. And with claircognizance, it really is about trusting yourself, which is, I think, why I designed Empath Energetics to be quite an intensive journey, because it's really easy to touch base once a month or once a week or every now and then, but twice a week plus one one-on-one per month for a full 4 months alongside other people kind of keeps you accountable to continuing to trust yourself and continuing to walk a path towards this faith in yourself and faith in your gut instincts. So you'll say something that you feel might be true. Other people might verify it. And then, by later that week, you go, okay, here's how it happened. And then you can say in front of people, yeah, actually, this thing that I thought did come true, or this thing I knew absolutely was true. And even with clairsentience, it could be, I have a feeling someone is experiencing this. We might talk about what you might do about that or not. And then you'll see the results of it. So I think it's that almost like logging this information that helps you build that sense of trust. With intuition development, it's not meant to be passive, even though we are trying to move into a place which is receptive. That doesn't mean passive. It means actually taking in information. And a lot of empaths struggle with this overwhelm so much that they're receiving things, but then they don't really know if they're intuition or if they're anxiety. So I do talk a lot about what is the difference between information we receive being clear, channeled, guided truth, and what is the difference between it being anxious, fears, or just maybe guesses, right? A lot of people, especially claircognizant like early on claircognizant folk will think that they just think they're a know-it-all, or they'll think, well, maybe I'm just making that up. Well, we're always making everything up based on what we receive in our minds. And to know that it's true requires you to have multiple tools in your tool belt. So, what I'll do is I'll teach multiple different intuition development techniques, and then you can cross check yourself. That way, it's not just someone else saying, hey, that sounds right, and you just going on to some kind of fear if it was an anxious thought rather than a clear intuitive thought. But you actually that can then cross check, okay, I've got 3 different ways to test my intuition. I've done it. All 3 have said yes. I'm just going to lean into trusting it, And these things work. These things work because our intuition is actually experienced in our body, which is why all of my background with relaxation tools and calming down the nervous system and my super science background of just being a huge nerd helps me with being able to explain to you why this experience is happening and also allow you to shift into that empowered state. So just checking in if anyone has any questions, because I know I am doing this live. I think what I'll do is set up a few more of these times because I'll only be able to talk for a certain amount of time today. I'm already out of my water. But I'll keep coming back and we'll keep talking about highly sensitive traits. And if this really gets you going and you do want to work with me, then we are starting a new Empath Energetics round end of April. I'm pretty flexible when it comes to payment plans because I know people are in lots of different situations these days. And I happen to be in a steady one now, living here in a caravan in Scotland. So don't let that hold you back. If that's going to hold you back, totally just book a meeting with me and we'll see what we can do. But if this calls out to you, you'll know. Okay, another one. So number 4 is strangers or anyone often overshare or open up to you more than they anticipated. I think this is funny. The way I wrote it is very true of what I notice is that people be surprised they shared that much with me. I haven't really asked much. I didn't really say much, but boop, 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 they give me everything they want to share. So you might be told things like, I just want to tell you my deepest, darkest secrets, or I feel like I can talk to you about anything. And that is a feeling that other people get when they're around highly sensitive or empathic or intuitive people, because it feels like they're truly being felt and received. And that's true because people who are not as sensitive are often offloading and they are not capable the same way they could be, but they're not choosing to be capable of receiving in what people are saying. So just by the mere fact of you picking up information more than what other people pick up on, energetically, before you even say anything, they sense that. They sense that they could tell you more and that it will be held by you, that you will take that in. And that's very true. I often say that sometimes it's like people are just throwing their own rocks from their heavy backpack that they picked up, all their weights of life. They're throwing their rocks and placing them at your feet. And lots of empaths, before they become empowered empaths, tend to pick up these rocks and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you were carrying all those. I don't want you to do that. And then kind of get, weighed down by it. And so I say, kick the rock back or toss it away if that person doesn't need it. But often it's so much better to pick the rock back up, give it to them, to pass it back, because for them to handle their own weights and own burdens is actually their path in life. And so I do help empaths a lot with the mindset, the framework for thinking about how you approach people. Is it really caring to allow people to give their weight to you and for you to take that on? And I would argue absolutely not. It is not caring for you to take on the pain and anguish of others. What is caring is to be showing compassion, to be showing understanding, and to have faith in their ability to pick up their own rocks and continue on this path of life and deal with that. If they just want to kick that rock away with you, then do it together. Why not? Lacey, you get that a lot from people that you really connect with. Yeah, totally. And that's the thing, right? Is if you're open and receptive to someone else's energy, then they're going to pick up on that, whether or not you say or do anything differently. And you could have such an exhausting day and you could really need someone to talk to. But people who are in that kind of overexerted sort of reality. And what I'm doing when I do this is this feeling of, energetically, it feels like people are trying to get their stuff out of them, right? And they're feeling like they can't contain, and they sense that you have space. And so I think actually a lot of highly sensitive people write themselves off because they think, I don't have enough space. I don't have enough energy. I honestly don't have the room to deal with all these other people. So I just talk to, 2 or 3 people. Okay, that's fine. You're allowed to have a close circle of friends, but sometimes it's like you're blocking down taking other people in because you feel as though the only option is for you to take that on yourself. That's absolutely not the case. It's not the way. And it's certainly not the way if you want to use your sensitive skills for good. And if you want to use these empathic, intuitive qualities to make a positive difference in the world around you. So I think it's a very special quality and a really beautiful quality when people can feel like they want to tell you everything. They want to tell you, their deepest, darkest secrets. I had a friend in college who said, you have the type of face that I want to tell all my fears to. And they didn't actually. I think they were just saying that they felt they could, that it would be safe to. And that's a beautiful thing. Our world needs people like that. Our world needs people like that to be able to hold. We are collectively experiencing so much suffering and grief. And in equal measure, we have a lot of love to give. And so if you can trust in that endless source of love that you have to give, oh, that's funny, that just lightened up. If you can trust in this endless light source that you have access to, that is too funny. The light didn't actually change, I promise. It was just this like automatic adjusting at the right time. Then that's you stepping into your own like empath hero self, Okay, I'm going to do maybe one more. Let me know if anyone has any questions, thoughts, or anything like that. And then I'll talk a little bit about the Empath Energetics program and head out. And actually, there are 29 things on here, so maybe I'll do 2 more. Because it is going to take me a few times to get through all of these qualities. Maybe I'll do them in separate videos so you can break them down and watch them over time. If you want to see previous videos I've done, there's old Oracle videos. There's definitely channeled messages, but there's also Empath Energetics testimonials. I think hearing from other people about their experience helps a lot. And I always talk about the program a bit in those. And there's also videos just talking about empath things in general from previous rounds. So you can go take a look at those too if you're itching for me to create more content. Okay. Another quality of highly sensitive people or empathic intuitive people could be random physical symptoms. So especially those that are similar to those around you. So if you were to spend time visiting someone in the hospital with a broken leg, you might find that your own leg will be sore or stiff kind of after the visit, and sometimes even for a couple of days. I want to be clear that this is not the same as hypochondria. This is not the same as just obsessively looking on WebMD every day and trying to figure out what's wrong with you. It's not the same thing. This is a genuine feeling that, once you address, hey, is this maybe the physical experience certain person was having? Goodness. Is this maybe the experience? It's funny. It's always, I thought that I should only stay on for 8:30, and it's always like a couple minutes after 8:30, or that, that time that I would have suggested to myself, that my words start changing. So it does make me laugh. But I do actually want to be on here right now. So if you were to get a lot of physical symptoms that seem random, that don't really seem connected to a real, legit physical experience that you're having, and we can talk all about physical symptoms in general when I talk about the healing process in empath energetics. So this is really great. Like if you are wanting to do a bit more healing work, or if you already do healing work and you want to really expand your knowledge, this is a really epic program. But also if you just want it for yourself, it's totally focused as a self-healing group plus one-on-one program. Okay, so if you are experiencing random physical symptoms, it could be because you're taking the patterning energetically of what other people around you are experiencing. So I experience this a lot, actually. My mother has multiple sclerosis. And so growing up, I would often experience feelings or things that she would be going through. But when I was in a period of much higher anxiety, I really was quite convinced that I must have MS myself. Not because of, like, maybe a little bit because of anxiety, I suppose, but it really was because I had extreme physical symptoms. I would have like jolts that my arm would totally, I would have tremors and things. I really felt a lot of tightness in my upper back. And I would feel exhausted. Anxiety is exhausting. So a lot of these things could easily be explained by stress. But at the same time, when so many different neurological symptoms are going on, it does leave you to question what the heck is happening. And whenever I would do tests, they would do specific tests to try and see whether that could be going on, because there could be a hereditary link. Oh, nothing, 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 nothing. Well, how could there be nothing when I'm having really wild physical symptoms? I could be sitting down for a couple minutes, stand up, my entire leg would be numb. That's not normal for, a 20-year-old. There were definitely things happening that were working through my system. And to be honest, because I was spending time away from my mother and I had spent my whole life really caring for her, deeply, deeply being affected by that as a child and wanting her to feel like she could feel better. She's doing fine, by the way. I'll just mention so that no one has to take that on either. But what I noticed is that as I separated from that energy, I then had my own healing to go through because I wasn't just so enmeshed with it. I actually had to process what if this was happening to me. And so it was kind of like a little spiritual journey cycle that I needed to go through. And then eventually those symptoms subsided. The other week, actually, I was working on someone who had an elbow issue. This person had an elbow issue, and I kept working on them late at night. And it had been a while. So I'll say it had been a while since I'd been doing in-person body work, since most of my stuff, as you know, is online. And because it had been a while, I really forgot that after I do body work with someone, my body is sensitive and could easily take that on. So I would do this energy work and massage at night, then go to sleep, not clearing my energy. And when I woke up, I had a bit of a sore elbow. And I went, wow, that's wild. I just picked up that sore elbow. I'm sure this isn't mine. And, lo and behold, as the day went on, I didn't have this elbow pain. The next time I went over, I did the same thing. And I shook my head the next morning, going, I really got to clear my energy next time because now I know that wasn't just a one-off thing. That's me not being mindful of actually dropping. So as we work with people, as we communicate, as we care for people, we do take on some of their energy, and there is a passing back or passing off that we need to also do to complete the process. So I will talk all about that if you join us in Empath Energetics. And we can definitely talk about physical symptoms as they relate to your own healing, because even physical symptoms that you experience that don't end up finding a medical cause, it's a very common experience for highly sensitive people. So I never want people to write it off. If you're getting some heart issues, get it checked. If you have neurological symptoms, go get those checks, that I did to make sure that there isn't something that really does need to be addressed in the physical plane. But no matter what, if you are dealing with something in the physical plane and it's absolutely physical, there is always also a spiritual and energetic cause and root to that physical experience. It doesn't mean that you experience one thing on an emotional level and then you create some sort of sickness, but it is an in tandem process. Our energetic and emotional state is a reflection of our physical state and vice versa. It is constantly in flow. So it's not about valuing, intuition over logic. It's about them speaking to each other in a way that actually makes sense and not in a way that contrasts each other. All right, number six on if you are an empath, you might have these symptoms or these experiences. Okay, this is a really fitting one for me to talk about as well, because it does come up in Empath Energetics. Number 6, your honesty or BS meter is sharp. You can tell when someone is being dishonest. Even though you believe in people being good, there's just this spidey sense you receive when people act inauthentically around you. And authenticity, it's a big spectrum, right? So when I speak to people, I like to speak to the core and to their soul self and to who they are here to be and who they are in a really real, authentic part of them. That sometimes means that I will call people out. So I call them call ups and they're not intended to be harsh. And sometimes people will go, woof, oh, ow, oh, that was really honest. But I swear to you, they're also always on the other side of that going, I needed to hear that, or that was something that really opened my eyes. I don't think that I'm rude about it, but I do want to mention I am quite honest. Um, I'm an Aries. I'm also Scottish and Dutch. They're kind of blunt. They kind of tell it like it is. And it's sort of just so it's a bit cultural, passed down, traditions. And it's also a bit just my personality, my communication style. I do think that when people are honest with me and I know that they come from a place of love, it is appreciated. And if I see someone not being honest to who they truly are, trying to fabricate some story, someone's like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. And you just know it's not okay. You just know something about that is not right. I think that's a call up. That's a call up to your higher self and to the person you actually desire being and who you're here to be, who you are at your core. So, this is also interesting because it shows up for empaths in situations like maybe in relationships. And then that sometimes goes, okay, is this intuition or anxiety? If you have a feeling like someone is being dishonest with you for whatever reason, and it doesn't leave you, you might wonder, is that just me being anxious? Yeah, it's really easy in the example of fearing that someone's cheating, right? Because if you've had a bad experience with that in the past, it absolutely makes sense that you could be concerned that someone could be doing that. And that could only be coming from a place of fear. And at the same time, you could also have a true feeling and an intuitive knowing that you really want to understand whether that's happening or not. So again, understanding what a clear, intuitive thought is and feels like, using these different tools that I will teach for testing whether something is really intuitive knowing or whether it is a fabrication, a paranoia, a fear, an anxiety, worry, even whatever it is, gossip. Sometimes you just hear something, you go, oh, is that true? Is that true? Is that true? And that fixation, that's really distracting. That itself is overwhelming. And so, really, what we do with highly sensitive folks and looking to train them is showing you how to input information, receive it in a way that feels like it's going in the right direction for you to understand it. So, it's kind of this in tandem process. And I have noticed the ways that people relate to honesty tends to deepen as the program goes on. So people actually tend to come fairly open hearted, like, okay, I want to get what I can out of this. But the more you trust that being seen in your honest and authentic self in a group, especially of other like-minded, highly sensitive and empathic people, once you begin to trust that that's safe, then you test it and you become more honest and you're able to share, okay, this is really what's going on. And it's not like, oh, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. That is so boring. We only get so much time on this earth. It really doesn't make sense to be anything but your authentic self. And I truly feel that the more sensitive people, the more empathic and intuitive people who are totally in their own full power, they're in their true soul essence, we actually have a better world. So that is why I made a program specifically for highly sensitive folks. It's because I was like, how can we heal the world? And empowering more highly sensitive and intuitive or empathic people to be leaders means a more creative, a more compassionate, caring, and a more powerful world. I truly feel that because we have these sensitive, perceptive skills for a reason. And so it's about finding what are you meant to do in your lifetime. We do that work as well, but that's more month 4. So we kind of work up to it. We do that work because I think it's important. I think that's the way that you go through healing. So I'm going to wrap up for today because I'm almost at this 45-minute mark. And I'll continue sharing more traits of empaths and some strategies for success that I think are either included in empaths or that you could begin to follow on your own. I will say that one of the things I've heard from a lot of empath energetics graduates is that they really, really value the group experience that I provide. And this is because there's a bit of a balance between getting to know other people and being able to walk alongside people, but doing your own journey. And you learn through, and highly sensitive empathic folk always learn well through watching other people's experiences. So if you see 3 people going through something, you might then go through that the next month and really value the fact that you had that heads up of how they worked through that experience, or the guidance that came through me for them. And so how it works, you can see all this online. I have like the links below, and you can always just book a meeting with me if you think it calls out to you. And how it works is we meet for 4 months, and I try to do twice a week, hourly, the same kind of times. It has always worked. So I'm going to fingers crossed that we're just going to find times that work. And I'm flexible knowing that I live in another country than I used to. And a lot of people who follow me are from Canada and the United States. I'm flexible to timing. It tends to work. It's so random how it ends up somehow fitting. But I always also give replays so people can feel included. There's absolutely ways to feel very included, even if you're not able to attend every session. And we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together what the frequency can be. And then we do one-on-one hour. It's like a power hour per month. Related to what we're doing. So we do kind of like the setup, intuition development, energy, or empath triggers session. We do one on your dark archetypes, shadow archetypes, these triggers, maybe how they express themselves or the ways in which you're holding yourself back. And then we do light and empowerment, which is really a lot of stepping up and into your full self. So this is really, light is actually much more difficult for people than shadow work, because light work, you have to reach for more and ask for more of yourself. You're not just, going through crummy things that you're already kind of aware of. You have to release things you weren't even aware that were holding you down and holding you back. So light and empowerment actually is one of the more challenging areas. We usually have someone a little bit scared or thinking about bailing sometime in shadow work, because I think they have this feeling of light coming up and how that might cause them to expand. Sometimes we just fear our own success, but not allowing any cancellations this time, because it's really just so fulfilling for me to watch someone press through the experience. You'll see if you watch Shannon's Empath Energetics testimonial in my videos on YouTube. You can go check out the testimonials that are posted so far. But you'll see if you watch Shannon's, I allowed her to take the program a second time because she bailed on herself before the shadow work show and tell time, which is a super easygoing show and tell, but something about really coming face to face with her shadow was really intimidating for her. And then I offered out, I said, hey, I know you didn't complete it. Do you want to just try again? And she did, and like powered through it, like actually did her shadow work art early even. It was just a really, really cool process to watch. That was so fulfilling. That's what I want to keep creating. I know you can do that. So everyone has to go through the whole program. You don't just get to dip your toe in and leave when things get challenging. It's nice to know that community is there for you through the good times and the challenging times. And then we do heroic legacy and also skill building. So if you are interested in really developing your psychic senses, your intuitive senses, or just more of your energy practices, or maybe you just want to go back and think about different skills that you didn't really focus on throughout the program, or if you really just are ready to give out to the world and you want to know more about what that would look like, we do a lot of work on what legacy you're here to create, what is the life that you are meant to lead. And I have this whole workbook actually that comes with the program that you can do, that some people still do. They'll do it as journal prompts and things, which I love hearing. And we do oracle work as well. So sometimes it's a lighter session. I'll do some coaching and oracle work. Sometimes it's like hot seats, and sometimes it's me giving a lot of teaching. So it's really, really a lot of variety, but there is also a flow that the program takes. So it's kind of a mix of structure and fluid. If people are talking a lot about narcissists, I might bring that way up earlier on in the session so that we can talk it through. Or maybe sometimes I'll teach separating your energy from others when we're already in light work. Sometimes I change things around a little bit. It's all fueled by the group. and I listen intuitively to the group's needs. So it has looked different every time, but every time there's also been beautiful transformations. So yeah, we do shadow work, light work, archetype healing. I teach the 7 stages of the healing process. I teach a lot about chakras, pendulums. I teach other intuition tools, teach about frequency, energy, shamanic journeying. I talk about psychic skills. There's so much that's in here. There's aromatherapy even. There's a lot that comes in, but I don't think it's really overwhelming. You get to choose what you take in. That's true all the time for you empaths. And I would love if anyone is vibing with this, you've been hanging out and kind of enjoying hearing about this from my voice, from what gets channeled through me, then maybe it's a sign we're meant to work together. So if you do feel that way, then you can book a call with me. I have these free 15-minute calls, so book at least 30 minutes because I don't like obviously keeping things limited to 15 minutes. Here I am, a 30-minute call that's now going to 50 minutes. So yeah, that's that. I'm going to keep coming back because this was really fun actually for me to go and look at this list. If you want to see this whole list, it's on the Empath Energetics sale page on my website. If you just scroll all the way down, you're going to see all the content. And then it says, are you an empath? And you can view this one. It says, you're an empath if you experience many of these. And there's 29 things. So I'd love to know how many of them you resonate with. If you resonate with more than a few, and you think that there's something that you're doing that is kind of holding you back, or you think there's more for you in life, this is a super ideal program because we'll also get deeper. So I'm going to head off for now. I'm really, really thankful that all of you stayed on to watch, and would love to just hear from you either in the comments after this is posted, or in an email, a DM, or maybe booking a session if this resonates with you, because I love bringing more people into this little Empath Energetics group. And just a reminder, because I know, especially here in the UK, there's a lot of financial constraints. I'm always flexible with payment plans as long as you are willing to come in and do the work, because I don't think that should hold anyone back. And it's a blessing that I can be in a comfortable enough place to be able to offer that. So sending you all love and hugs, and really excited to welcome in the next crew of Empath Energetics, whoever they may be. I feel at least 6 people energetically in this next group. And so I'm going to journey and maybe try to find who they are before they find me. So I hope to meet you all soon, and enjoy the rest of your evening, or maybe day, depending on where you are in the world. Take care, everyone.